Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
And a major city yet to be determined in Russia.
Travis went good zone. So, YouTube, some couple weeks back now, or something like that. It's been so long. YouTube's trying to make it the new normal. YouTube all this year purposely was bullying me into screwing up YouTube, forcing me to file complaints about YouTube's performance. And so YouTube retaliates, as is the pattern of practice of bullies, and escalated things to causing malware, cyber terrorism, uploading of video delays and problems and refusals, and trying to cause me not to be able to watch, or not counting my views, not counting my thumbs ups, all those kinds of things to try to punish me for doing religious content videos. And they would claim it's the AI program, you know, the AI says you're the problem, Travis. Yeah, well, white supremacist bullies are programming AI. Elon Musk, Amazon, the Google Gates guy, they're all authoritarians. You know, the Facebook guy, he's Russian. These guys are all neo-Nazi fascists of one name or another. And our government, you know, we have MAGA still in office when the 14th Amendment Section 3 says that what they did on January 6th meant they need to be locked up. And so I'm surprised they haven't locked up Merrick Garland when it was his job to lock them up. That's why he was put into office, to get revenge for keeping him out of the Supreme Court. And so, I don't know, lots of problems that are getting worse for America, as not a single one of you are aware of China's social control system, social credit system, by which they control the behavior of the Chinese people. And that's exactly what they're doing to America. But they know America, if we were to all of a sudden implement it all at once, America would revolt and riot and demand that we get our freedoms back. And so what they've been doing for decades is using psychologists from Nazi Germany in World War II to brainwash you, little by little, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, to take away your agency, to take away your rights. And you're not seeing the bigger picture of what's going on with your cell phones, as the complaints about the different psychological traps that they're setting for you are diversionary tactics away from the bigger issue that they're trying to get America under social control, so that once they fully implement it, Americans can't revolt. They will be immediately attacked, like YouTube is attacking me on YouTube, banning me from watching YouTube while signed in. And so I'm unable to watch the news and know where I left off, because there won't be a red line showing, and And so I can't, watch women's fashion anymore. Can't watch comedy, late night stuff anymore. Because I complained about the bullying abuse of YouTube. And they aren't coming out and saying that that's what it's for, but they're not responding to my complaints other than continual, eternal ban from watching YouTube. And like I said, they've been terrorizing me on my devices. I can tell when they're fooling around, hacking my systems, going through the programs, bypassing my security. And so, yeah, AI is even worse because it can bypass security. The security features are unaware of the danger of AI to our computer systems and devices. Thus, when they fully implement it, there will be nobody to complain because you'll all be punished instantly for complaining, not conforming and complying. And so if you don't understand what China is doing to its own people and how they're controlling their lives and their agencies and telling them what to think and how to feel and what to eat and what to wear and what to buy and what not to buy, what to access and how long you're allowed to access it. If I were to do a whole video explaining what the church is planning on doing for the state of Utah, I seriously think you would complain. You would, I don't know. It depends on how apathetic you are. And whether or not you'd believe. Because right now, you say, no, that's not happening. No. And you're not listening. I was at the grocery store yesterday. The AI program at the checkout demanded I scan my head. The employee was forced to come over and make sure I scan my head. She flashed her badge and clicked the OK to proceed, and AI for the grocery store was pissed. Believed that there was a conspiracy between the employee and me to get away with not scanning my head. And so it buffered eternally, refusing to allow me to pay because I refused to scan my head at a grocery store. And so she had to transfer all of the items to her main checkout, for which I was then able to pay and leave. You don't see the dangers because this is emblematic of the bigger picture of what is coming. This is not something that they can just do a little fix for. The whole program needs to be scrapped. But it's being implemented in every aspect of our lives. It will control us. And so I'm very concerned if the voting machines are going to be hooked up to the internet. Because AI is able to bypass any kind of security system. And our government is just egging it on with their authoritarianism that's allowed to reign supreme. And because the deep state Dems didn't do what they knew they needed to do when they were in power to do it. Roe v. Wade got overturned. Other things are gone. And what are the deep state Dems telling you about it? Get out and vote. Let your voice be heard. You lost it. They gave it up. And now they're distracting and threatening you to go out and vote to get it back. It's the 14th Amendment, Section 1. So, also the other day, I told you, I am very well aware of trolls who claim to be Mormon English speaking because of the difficulty of using English as a second language. I can catch you. And apparently there was somebody who thought that he could outsmart me and fool me. Didn't believe it was true. Putin, do your intelligence forces not report my videos to you? They're supposed to. Because I got a death threat from one of them the other day after doing that video. And so on the video, we thank thee, O Mormon God, for religious freedom. These are brilliant videos that YouTube is purposely keeping my views suppressed so that people don't know of my videos and won't click on them. Because if I were given equal treatment with other ex-faux nevermos and even Mormons, hundreds of thousands of views for every video. I mean, if I only got 100,000 views on a video, yeah, that would be something for me to be concerned about. What's going on? Why do I not have millions of views? This is weird. This seems abnormal. Nope. And so, a troll whose channel name is John Doe. They spelled it right. That's impressive. A John Doe is an unidentified dead person who gets toe tagged as a John Doe or Jane Doe for females. A dead person who nobody will know and remember. And so John Doe, being attacked by YouTube, is sending me a death threat because you're bad at your job in reporting to Putin. How do I know it's a Russian? Let's see how smart you are and how knowledgeable you are with scriptures. Bro, clean up your house before trying to tell others how to live theirs. You see the breakdown in English? Just stupid. You just humiliated yourself. You're supposed to be this great Russian intelligence expert for cyberbullying. Dear God. Matthew chapter 7 is where he's trying to quote from. And so Yeah, he's trying to claim that I'm not allowed to judge him. Well, only the guilty would take my judgments seriously. If you are not guilty of what I am talking about in my videos, you're not going to go, hey, I don't do that. No, you're going to say, oh, that's funny. Yeah, Mormons are just like that. I know those kinds of Mormons. Though Mormons also want to claim to do that too. When they're guilty. Yeah, that other person is like that. Anti-Mormon, Antichrist, Korahor, apostates. So Matthew chapter 7. See, every Christian, and thus Mormon, stop with just verse 1. Judge not, that ye be not judged. Oh, yeah, okay, I can't judge people. And it's used in our culture, not just in Mormonism. Yes, we can. And in Mormonism, you should know righteous judgment. And it's right here in the Bible too, but in the Book of Mormon, they had to put righteous judgment. Judge righteously. But it's in here. Pay attention. Let's read the rest of the story. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again. Now, if you don't know the learning of the Jews, and you don't know your scriptures, and you don't understand that Matthew is referring to prophecies of Isaiah, thus Jesus, Isaiah, same name, just flipped. And so Isaiah is prophesying of the future Christ in the law of the Jews called Deuteronomy 18:15 through 19. A man like Moses. And so the Matthew author is now using the prophecies of Isaiah about the man like Moses from the law to tell stories in prophecy form about the prophecies of Isaiah. Thus, Jesus is used for his name, even though it's supposed to be Emmanuel, from Isaiah. And thus Matthew 1 explains this to us. And they don't say Isaiah, do they? Why not? It's Isaiah's prophecy. We all know it. He doesn't give the name Isaiah, but says Jesus, which is the reverse spelling of Isaiah. Everybody messes it because you've been conned by Roman Emperor Constantine. And so in the next chapter of the law of the Jews is about false accusers, rendering a judgment upon a person who's innocent. And thus, for what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. If you're going to falsely accuse somebody, you are supposed to get the punishment, not the person you falsely accused. That's what it's talking about here. This is where he got it from. And no, they do not have Deuteronomy in here. It's unclear as to whether or not I put it in and whether or not they approved it being put in. I was given this book to do. Just know and understand. But there were several things that they rejected, even though I had the Jesus card. I was their prize pupil, and yet, so anyway. And so then it goes and talks about a beam and a mote. This has to do with carpentry. A mote in your brother's eye is a tiny little sliver from a big, massive beam that's used as the frame and the support to keep the building up. And so, yeah, you're accusing somebody of a little non-issue, which actually a little sliver actually is more painful than a beam on your eye. But the false accuser is the one with the big massive beam. And so it says, first pull out the mote of thine own eye. Oh, no, wait a minute. That's what you're trying to say. Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of your eye. Okay? And then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote of your brother's eye. Because when you are not falsely accusing somebody, yeah, you're righteous. You can judge them. You're not making a false accusation. And so Mr. House Cleaning, the beams are for the house. And so you can see it was a completely botched translation of this. Clean my house? You don't even know. You don't even see my house. You just see the alcove here where I decided to put my bed last year when I did that big move. Does anybody remember? These boxes were unable to fit in the closet because I've got all my games in there. And if you don't know, Amen is spelled with a board game. All these prophecies, and Mormons just don't care. And so, yeah, you don't see the rest of my house. I've got my extra wires and computer parts and stuff over there. I do need to organize it into different piles. And so, yeah, there's some Amazon empty boxes so that I can work on that project one year. I've got my recliner that managed to survive, and it's got a tablecloth covering it to keep it from dusting up, and the tablecloth gets washed once a month. And then there's the kitchen, and then you can see the closets, and everything's all put in their place. And then there's the bathroom right behind me. And so I clean daily. I clean as I go. Because as a little kid, I got pissed with having to clean up after myself. And so, to avoid having to clean up a mess, I've learned to try to avoid making messes. Because it's no fun to clean. But I have allergies because of the babysitter who was a smoker when I was a baby in Berkeley. Well, Oakland, technically, in our apartment there. And so I developed allergies because of that abusive babysitter. And so one of the allergies is dust. Technically the pollution and the dust. Living here in polluted Utah. And again, the Joseph Smith Warren Mormons, when you pollute your inheritance, bye-bye. Bye-bye. And so, yeah, I clean as I go. And when dust can be visibly seen, yeah, I instantly whip it out and clean it up. Because I can't have a certain level of dust, because I will get irritated and clogged and thus can't breathe. And so then once a week I do laundry, and so then there's extra level of cleaning that is performed weekly. You know, I'm cleaning out the tub and the sink and the kitchen and stuff like that, because I'm washing the towels and hand cloths and stuff. Didn't you want to know about this? See, we got a false accuser from Russia who is incapable of translating into English, so I'm helping him out. And then, yes, once a month I do an even deeper clean. That's when the quilt gets washed on the bed and the tablecloth that's covering up the recliner. Keep it all dusted. And then, yeah, the cleaning of the windows from being opened and the dust from the polluted Utah blowing in. So, yeah, now that I'm having to keep the windows closed, I do need to get to that. And so, yeah, I'm a very clean person. But no, I've had people being more obsessive compulsive than that. Because, yeah, I won't pass a white glove test, and nobody better demand that I do. But if you're going to live in Mormon Utah, after they implement a full-on AI millennial reign, good luck trying to survive. And so, yeah, this was abusive, as it's a guy who is just a troll who doesn't know English, because there's idioms that are in the language, there's cultural traditional understanding, and this is involving religion, and he botched the Christian understanding of it. You know, they have a Russian Bible, but still, I mean, to get, you know, it most likely had a beam of a house in the Russian language. I'd have to check, but, you know, that's most likely what he was talking about, is clean your house. And so it's on the translation spectrum of cultural translation rather than literal translation. And then it doesn't matter if you put it right or left. That's all crap from psychology of the Nazis. And so, yeah, I know exactly what he was pulling. He's threatening to murder me because he's failing to do his job for Putin. And he's not going to tell Putin. He's just threatening to murder me. As he can't translate correctly from his own scriptures into English. And back in 2017, I had been threatened by a Russian who emailed me and wanted me to just hand over my decipherment of Paleo-Hebrew for free. He didn't want to purchase it from Amazon, I guess. And so I had no problems with him obtaining it from academia that I had put it on way back then. And so I had told him he can get it from academia. But if he really wanted the information to learn how to decipher Russian script, he could have just asked me. See, Russians are too proud to just talk and explain what they want to do. Everything has to be a crime for them, a suspicion, a theft. They can't just be nice and ask. It's just, they can't do it. And so on my website that I had way back then also, I noticed that Russians were stealing the coding of the posts for their collection rather than just doing a copy and paste. It's just, why are you doing it? Why is it you're making it so complicated? It's all for free. Why couldn't you just ask? You know, everything for their culture has to be criminal. And so, yeah, if you don't know the culture, you know, going to a grocery store pre-AI, demanding you scan your head, if you wanted good quality meat, you had to bribe the butcher. Otherwise, you got poorer quality food. You have to bribe people. They're just like Ferengis. Everything has to be an extortion. Everything has to be bribery. Everything is a honey trap. Everything. That's the culture in Russia. So if you want to do business in Russia, yeah, you got to be compromised. You got to do them a favor, though. So, Putin, if you're listening, a major city yet to be determined in Russia. And nobody caught on to this. The whole crowd cheered Nelson. Yay, we thank thee, O God, for a prophet who's compromised to Russia. And what did Putin use the money for? Oh, he's attacking Ukraine from Ezekiel 38. Which played right into the hands of the church, because Bruce R. McConkie did the chapter heading for Ezekiel 38. You guys just are not listening to me. And you're too proud to humble yourselves and go, we should have listened to you. And instead, you get all huffy and puffy. If you would just pacify, flatter, and deceive us, Travis, we'd be more receptible. There was a period of time where everybody was telling me how to do my own videos. Really? I should do my videos the way you think they should be done? Like I said, it's YouTube. If I were set free to be treated equally, I'd literally have hundreds of thousands of views per video. Whether the people like them or not, that's another issue, but I would be known worldwide, just like I already am for Paleo-Hebrew decipherment. So, as I was on YouTube, not signed in, YouTube was recommending the MasterCard blowjob commercial from the 80s. Classic, when commercials were funny. But the sad reality is that Mormons, as with Christians, would think that that's inappropriate because of the blowjob. They don't show it, you just see her go down. actually inappropriate is that the woman is seen as a gold digger, which is weird because credit cards are debt, not wealth. But it's MasterCard doing this. They need you to get their card. And so thus, they're telling their male audience, get our MasterCard and you can have a hot chick go down on you. First of all, you don't want a woman like that, even though you want a woman like that, but not for that reason. You want a woman who doesn't want you for your wealth or lack thereof. You want a woman who wants you, for who you are, doesn't want to change you, doesn't want to take away your agency and have social behavioral control over you, telling you how to clean your house before you judge her. Dear God. So yeah, that was hilarious. Because YouTube, they're all obsessed with porn, and yet they're not. They're just using it as a weapon, just like they do with medical misinformation. You know, it was a scripture from Deuteronomy, and it was banned as medical misinformation. Yeah, just this year, remember? So yeah, no. YouTube uses it as a weapon. And you can't appeal. You can't explain. Where's the medical information? I don't hear it. So, yeah. And so, yeah, many Mormons are coming out also, thinking that if I die, the church is therefore true. As I'm being silenced by YouTube, being cyber terrorized, it means the church is true. This was what Christians believed when D.M. Murdoch was dead of cancer on Christmas 2015. Christians cheered, saying Jesus is true because Jesus smote her down on Christmas. And if you don't know who D.M. Murdoch was, she was the one that found that the New Testament Gospels were plagiarized from the Egyptian documents. I thought only the Book of Mormon was plagiarized. Yeah, and so one of her famous ones was the Jesus and the herd of swine of Legion. You know, Legion comes out of the tomb, and Jesus rebukes them, and then they beg and plead for mercy and say, can we please possess the swine? And okay, fine, here, possess the swine. And then the swine goes berserk and goes into the sea and dies. Well, it's on the 18th or 19th dynasty tombs of the Seti pharaohs, in which they got a whole lineup of men going before Pharaoh to be judged, and then failing their judgment and having to go back into the sea of reeds on the boat as a swine. Ta-da! And so she was coming up with this as I had just deciphered Paleo-Hebrew and was now working on the vocabulary and finding things out with the vocabulary, and working on Egyptian translation, decipherment, because you think it's been deciphered. It hasn't. Only the Rosetta Stone has been deciphered. And they've applied that to the rest of the Egyptian documents. Wrong. Can't do that. And so, yeah, I'm well known for my decipherment of Paleo-Hebrew, but not too much of anything else. Because after she died, I then became the foremost expert in the field to carry on, and was able to develop the theory that has been confirmed as established fact. Whereas she just said, well, I plagiarized the Egyptian documents and therefore the Bible isn't true. A little rush to judgment, sweetie. We'll miss you for your contributions to the Zeitgeist movement. And so, despite Mormons believing that if I get punished and that I suffer and lose my property and get cyber terrorized and get abused and physically hurt and harmed, that it means the church is true. But if I were to then use that same judgment that you're using on me on Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith, he was silenced, he was murdered. I guess he's false too. If we're going to use your judgment on me, on Joseph Smith. Now, Exfo Nevermos are rushing to the conclusion, yeah, you're right. Both of you are false. No, you're missing the point. Fallacies. This is where Mormons don't get it. They're purposely being stupid and not catching on to their abuse to justify the church. There is no justification for the church. Can't do it. Just like the Russian failed to shut me down and confound me as an Antichrist corollary. On my turf. Mormonism is my turf. Born and raised in the Covenant Mormon. I was faithful and studied. Mormons don't, let alone a Russian who's just a troll threatening to murder me. Dear God, I even told you the church is going to betray you. And you blame me? You're so upset that you don't know how to investigate that you ignore the part where the church is setting you up to betray you. Oh my God. Talk about your disconnect. And so no, Mormons, you have no argument against me. You automatically lose because it's all false. And I'm trying to get through to you because we're in the final days before utter destruction. The water is turning up as you're the frogs in the water boiling to death. And you don't realize it because you all know that, right? If you were to put a frog into hot boiling water, the frog would hop out. However, you slowly heat it up after putting them in the water at whatever temperature a frog likes. And then you slowly increase the temperature. The frog never realizes until it's too late and it's now dead. And you got frog for dinner. I understand it tastes like chicken. I don't care as long as it has a lot of sauce on it. Whatever sauce is appropriate, whether it be ketchup or barbecue sauce of some kind. I don't know. So yeah, I want to get back to watching Godzilla, X-Kong. Why X-Kong? Why? Because that came on DVD yesterday. And also get to season 3 of Superman and Lois. This is part of the pattern of practice of criminal behavior against me. It is back in 2020's pattern of abuse to destroy me and ruin me and murder me. It was the final episode, or the final season of Supergirl that came out on DVD that year. And also season 1, I believe. Yeah. Season 1 also came out that year of Superman and Lois. And so, yeah, I wasn't sure if I would survive, but getting that was my own personal triumph over my enemies seeking to murder me. And so, yeah, here we are again with all of the threats that I was given, even trying to murder me. Not just the cyber terrorism that's going on, but, yeah. Dear God. So, other than that, I really, there's not really many people watching. Child faith has gone missing, and I understand. You know, you have your own understanding of who the Christ is, and so you get all super hyped up. I saw that on Deep Space Nine. Captain Sisko is the emissary of the Bajorans, and so the Bajorans are all cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over them. But you can't impose a nature and character on other people. You need to understand Joseph Smith was just a man. And yet, Mormons treat him as far more than just an average man. You don't understand that he had to learn line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. And so when the enemy infiltrated, forged documents and made false accusations and then set him up, framed him, and then murdered him, and then stole his religion and scriptures and then altered them and destroyed them with a false interpretation, and then fled the country, and you don't understand that it's because this enemy purposely turned Joseph Smith into something more than what he actually was, to justify what their evil was. And so this is what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has done to you, is that as I tried to come out and explain the concept of the Jewish Messiah for you, the number one complaint was, it's not Jesus. No bleeping duh! Too many Mormons have Jesus on the brain. You've got to purge it. Jesus is not real. Homoousion, from the first creed of Christianity that created Christianity. But Christians don't believe it was created then. They say, oh, it always existed when Jesus was literally in Jerusalem among the Romans. No, he wasn't. That's Constantine. So yeah, if there are those of you who have been following and are still listening to this video, and you're not a Russian, if he wanted to know about your script, he could have just asked. That's all he had to do. I even have done a couple of videos going over it with you. You know, the Cairo of your Russian script. Cairo, right there. So run it through the test of your vocabulary. Hello? You not want to do your own work on your own language? That's what I would do if I were to check to see if Russian is using the picture meaning in the vocabulary. And so, yeah, when you see the Cairo in a vocabulary word, does the meaning of the vocabulary word have anything to do with the latter days? So you gotta need to know what the latter days are about. And I'd be curious to know if it's a Christianized interpretation, because Russian was created after. It's one of the Latin branch-offs. So yeah, you need to understand that. It's just so. And what's up with Steven Seagal not doing any more movies? Is it just because he's in Russia now and everybody thinks he's a traitor, and so nobody cares about him? I know his movies did start to suck when he went European. Voiceovers and messing up the frames of the pictures. Oh my God, Steven. But yeah, what kinds of projects are you wanting me to put on academia for you? Because I'm in transition now after having completed the complete works of Joseph Smith. And so I'm now trying to get into a new transition. I am currently working on the 1830 versus the 1981 Book of Mormon, doing a side-by-side comparison so that you can see what differences there were. And there are significant differences so far, but it's not essential to help transition you into the Jewish understanding. You know, it's just a fun thing that any Mormon should have already done and didn't. But yeah, if there's something that you want to know about or want me to work on, please let me know before I get inspired to start an actual project to post on academia. But if that commercial shows up, I'm putting it as the theme song in the description below rather than a theme song.